Hey everyone, welcome to WittCode, where in this video we're going to learn everything about JavaScript's local storage, including when to use it, how to use it, and also what to store in it. So before we begin, what is local storage? Well, local storage is a property of the window object. And so as local storage is attached to the global window object, it can be accessed by window.localStorage or just typing local storage directly. And now, local storage was introduced as part of the Web Storage API in HTML5. And the Web Storage API allows browsers to store key value pairs. It consists of two mechanisms, session storage and local storage. In this video, we'll be focusing on the latter, local storage. And local storage allows the web browser to store data with no expiration date. In other words, local storage data doesn't get erased even after the browser is closed. And more in depth, specifically, local storage is part of the JavaScript storage interface, and the JavaScript storage interface allows us to retrieve, set, and remove data for a specific domain and storage type, local or session. So we can see here that local storage is a storage object, and a storage object has the following prototype methods and property. So we can see the property length and then the prototype methods. And now, let's focusing on storing and retrieving data with local storage. To store data with local storage, we'll use the method setItem, which is part of the storage interface, and pass it a key and value. To retrieve this value, we use the method getItem and pass it the key provided to setItem. And the key of local storage data can be accessed by using the key method and providing it an index. And similar to arrays, the first index is 0. And it should be noted that the order of these keys is user agent defined, so key is not a really reliable method. Also, if the index does not exist, null is returned. And now remember, data stored with local storage is not deleted unless explicitly cleared. The Web Storage API provides two methods for removing locally stored data. The first method is removeItem, which accepts the key of the item to remove. The other method to remove data is clear, which removes all data in local storage. Now, let's talk about what to store in local storage. So only insensitive data should be stored in local storage as it is stored on the client-browser. And as such, anyone with access to the user's browser could look up the local storage data. Some examples of what not to store in local storage are passwords, usernames, and other sensitive user-related information. On the other hand, something like color preference for the web page could be stored in local storage. Another good use for local storage is HTTP response catching. For example, instead of pulling data from the server with every request, we could store it in the client's local storage and just access it from there. Now let's talk about some local storage limitations. Local storage can only be written to and accessed synchronously, meaning it will block the main thread, slowing down program execution. Local storage is also limited to about 5 megabytes of data, depending on the browser. Some browsers can't even store as much as 5 megabytes. And finally, the keys and values in local storage can only be strings. Non-string data is automatically converted to string data. Also, third-party software can also use local storage, and as such, there could be collisions or pollution of the global namespace leading to overwritten data. To combat this, it is recommended to prefix data stored in local storage with some form of unique key. And now, another limitation of local storage is that it can be blocked. For example, it can be disabled in browser settings, the client could have turned off JavaScript in their browser, and so on. And therefore, it is recommended to have a helper function to check for the availability of local storage to prevent errors or even app crashes. For example, the following script could be used to detect the availability of local storage. So note that we cannot simply check if local storage is undefined, as the Safari browser offers a functional local storage object in private mode. So simply checking if local storage is defined will pass, but calls to set item will throw an exception. So what this shows is we use the set item key and remove item. If either of these don't work, we go into this catch block, return false, and local storage is not available. And because of the Safari browser, we can't just say if local storage. And this is because the Safari browser offers a functional local storage object in private mode. And now, let's talk about viewing local storage in the browser. So local storage information can be viewed in the Application tab of the Google Chrome DevTools, not just by logging it to the console. So here we can see my num and the value 7 that we made earlier. And now I also want to mention that data stored in local storage is bound to an origin, and the term origin is defined by the scheme or protocol, the hostname or domain, and port of the URL used to access it. For example, local storage on localhost 1234 will not be the same as local storage on localhost 4567. This is why local storage is divided up by each of these, because each of these have a different origin. And now the last thing to mention is local storage in an incognito browser. So local storage set for a document in private or incognito mode is cleared when all tabs are closed for the specific origin. But there we have it. So local storage is definitely a cool feature to have in our JavaScript toolkit. Now, I just want to thank you for watching, let you know that a blog format of this video is available on my website with a link in the description. But besides that, have a good one.